Welcome back, everyone. No matter where you are, no matter what time it may be, I hope y'all are doing well out there. There's some encounters people talk about, and then there are the ones they won't talk about unless something finally breaks inside of them. These creatures can sink into the corners of your mind and just sit there, quiet, waiting years after the night that it all happened. These things can change how a person walks into their own bedroom. The ones that make you keep the lights on for no good reason. They don't end just because you made it home that night. You're going to hear from people who still don't understand what they saw, or what followed them afterward. People who try to move on, try to forget, try to explain it away like most of us would. But the fear, it doesn't leave, not after that. If you're listening to this right now, just take a second. Look around whatever room you're in. Make sure you're alone. Make sure the house is still. Because encounters like these have a habit of making the dark feel different. Before I get started, I want to thank you for listening. And I also want to remind you, if you've had an encounter of your own and would like to share it here on the channel, all you have to do is reach out to me. Send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. My email address is linked in the description below this video. Alright, legends, lock in. And let's begin. And make no mistake, an encounter with one of these things will haunt you for life. I know. Everyone grab a drink, lock your doors and windows, hit the lights, and let's get started. Hi, I'm sorry this is long. I didn't plan on writing this much, but I've been holding this in for far too long. I'm at the point now where I don't know who to even talk to about it, because everyone I know either laughs at stuff like this or tells me I'm just too stressed and I'm hearing things. But I'm not. I really wish that I was. I live outside Bedford, Virginia, maybe 10, 12 minutes from town, even if that. I have a small place on an old gravel road that dead ends. It goes nowhere, except 2 other houses. Those folks keep to themselves. It's quiet out here. Lately, it's been too quiet. I work for a local appliance repair company. I'm gone most of the day. Usually don't get home till after dark, sometimes 8 or later, depending on the calls. I got one dog, Toby. He's getting old. He's 12 now and slowing down, but he still acts like my shadow. Always been a good dog. He's the only reason I'm not totally losing it right now. Anyway, back in February, this all started. I remember the first time it happened exactly because I thought we had an earthquake or something. The floor did this shake around 1:45 in the morning. Scared the hell out of me. I sat up and listened, but nothing else happened, so I figured maybe it was a truck going past or the heater kicking on weird. The next night, it happened again, around the same time. Except this time I wasn't just a shake. I heard something down there, underneath the house. My place sits on a half crawl space, maybe 3 foot tall at most. I never really messed with it besides putting some tools in there maybe once or twice. The sound I heard was not pipes. It wasn't ventilation. It wasn't water. It sounded like something breathing. Like whoever it was taking long, dragging breaths, almost like snoring. More like something big trying to breathe, quietly but failing to do so. Toby, he heard it too. He lifted his head and growled real low. He never growls at anything unless it's serious. I got up, checked every room like an idiot because I was expecting someone laying on the kitchen floor. That's how loud this was. I checked every room. I couldn't find anything out of place. This went on for at least a week. The same thing every night, between 1:30 and 2 in the morning. The floor was vibrating a little, and that damn breathing underneath me. I started losing sleep. I was nodding off during jobs while driving. One lady complained I hooked her dishwasher up wrong, but I didn't. She just had a bad outlet. But my boss still talked to me about slipping lately. One night I'd got pissed and had enough. I grabbed a flashlight, went outside in the cold, and opened the crawlspace door. I don't know what I thought I was going to do. Scare off a raccoon, maybe. That was my hope, anyway. Because anything bigger than a raccoon, well, I wasn't ready to think about that. I was hit with a smell immediately. It smelled like a metallic, wet tang smell. It wasn't blood exactly, but very close. I got on my stomach and shined the light around. I saw dirt, insulation, some spider webs. Nothing. As I was about to crawl back away and give up my search, I heard that same slow breathing, but this time it sounded like it was only a few feet in front of me. The flashlight hit 2 shiny spots. I thought it was nails or something reflecting, so I shifted the light and realized they were eyes. They were wide apart, and no animal in Virginia holds its head up like that in a crawlspace. This thing was tall enough that its eyes were level with the floorboards above it, like it was lifting itself up. I couldn't even move backwards because my body just wouldn't do it. The eyes, I watched them narrow a little, like it was focusing on me. I swear my whole chest tightened up. I started to tingle. Toby started barking inside the house like crazy. I scrambled backward as fast as I could, and I even scraped my back on the frame. I slammed that door shut and ran inside. After that night, things got worse. The breathing kept happening, but now it was moved, like it walked from one side of the house to the other. I would hear it under the living room, then under the hallway, then under my bedroom like it was checking each spot. One morning I found dirt pushed out from under one of the vents like something was clawing upward. The next week the sounds changed altogether. It started whispering. I couldn't make out words, but it was sounds and sounded like someone trying to talk with a mouthful of water. It was drawn out syllables. Sometimes it almost sounded like my name, but I couldn't really tell. It was stretched out and didn't sound human. Toby started refusing to come inside at night. He'd stand at the door, shaking, looking at the floor like it's going to open up and swallow him. I have to carry him in sometimes. There's no way I'm leaving him out there. I called a company to come out and check for animals or structural problems. The guy crawled under there for maybe 20 seconds before backing out, pale as a ghost. He said something isn't right, and that I needed pest control instead. Pest control came and said they didn't see signs of anything living down there. No animal droppings, no tunnels. Yet the noises never stopped. 3 nights ago is when I honestly thought I was going to lose my mind. I was in the kitchen grabbing something to drink around midnight. The floor actually lifted. I'm not talking about shaking or vibrating. I mean it lifted, like something pushed up with its back or its shoulders. Maybe half an inch, but high enough to see my coffee mug slide a little. I stood there completely shocked, watching the floor settle back down. Then I heard that whispering again. It was louder, and it was right beneath me, like someone talking straight through the wood. I couldn't sleep at all. How could I? I don't sleep much anyway. Yesterday morning, I went outside to clear my head. The crawlspace door was cracked open. I hadn't opened it. Nobody else was here. I checked the latch. It wasn't broken. It was opened by something. I locked it with a padlock this time. Tonight, I don't know. Tonight is bad. Worse than the other nights. I keep hearing thumps under the living room like something hitting the beams with its hand. Toby is hiding behind the couch, shaking so bad the cushions are vibrating. I swear I can hear something under there. It's moving, breathing through the vent behind me as I type this. It's been going on for 10 minutes now. The whispering keeps stopping and starting like it's waiting for me to respond. I don't know what to do. I keep telling myself I'm tired, I'm stressed. It's all my imagination. But I know what I saw under there, and I know what I keep hearing every night. Something is living under this house, and it wants me to know it's there. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I don't have the money to move, and no one believes me. I'm writing this because I gotta tell someone before I just break down completely. I hope this email makes sense, and I hope someone has some sort of advice for me. I'm shaking too much to reread it. I hope I didn't make too many mistakes as I'm under pressure at the moment. Thanks, Reels. David. Now, this email came in a little over 3 weeks ago. I've actually talked to David on the phone several times, and it seems here lately, some of the things I've told him to do. I had him put in some motion-activated lights and a few other tricks I've learned from other people along the way. It seems as though whatever it was is gone now. He hasn't had any more incidents as of, 2 weeks ago. Thanks, David, for reaching out. I'm glad I could help. If you have any more problems, if you're listening, be sure and email me or give me a text. Thanks, brother. Stay safe. Hello, Reels, or whoever reads this. It's only me, buddy. My daughter helped me find your email. I'm not good at this sort of thing, so I hope this goes through. I don't know how these things usually work. I don't know if there's a way that you go about this, but I'm just going to say it out like I would tell my sister or someone on the phone. My name, you can just use Helen, and I live outside Worcester, Massachusetts, in a town called Leicester, Leicester. I would research these names, guys, but I kind of read these on the spot sometimes. I clean houses for a living. Been doing it since my kids were little. I'm 63 now, and my knees complain every set of stairs, but I still manage. The road I have to drive in the mornings is what started all this. I leave my house around 4:45 a.m. most days because my job is across town, and the lady likes her place done before she leaves for work. If you know the area, I cut down Paxton Street, and then take the road that goes by the old cemetery on the hill before you get closer to Worcester. It's a small place. Old stones, iron fence in some spots. The rest is just open with a low stone wall. I've never paid much attention to it besides thinking it looks sad in the winter. This all really started after that big snowstorm we had at the end of January. The plows had pushed the snow up high along the sides of the road, so the cemetery looked like a sheet of white with these gray stones poking out. The first morning that I saw it, I thought I was just tired. I was driving by, sipping my coffee, same as always. When the headlights swung across the cemetery, I saw what I thought was someone crouched down behind a headstone near the front. I remember it because the only thing that didn't look like a straight line or a stone was this thing. It was just a shape that didn't fit. I figured it was probably a deer bedded down or even a person, but It seemed odd for anyone to be in there at that time of day, in that cold. It was 11 degrees that morning. I slowed down a little, but I didn't stop. You don't pull over alone before 5 in the morning by a cemetery. At least, I don't. And I wouldn't recommend it. All that day, I couldn't help but think about it off and on. When I drove home, it was fully daylight, and I looked over. There was no one or nothing there, just rows of stones and snow like normal. 2 mornings passed. It happened again. The same graveyard, same curve in the road, same general spot. Headlights hit the stones, and there behind it, the same crouched shape. It was taller than a human sitting, shorter than someone standing up. It was like someone squatting with their arms resting on their knees or something like that. Only this time I could tell it wasn't wearing a coat or a hat or anything that looked like clothes. There was no color separation, just a dark shape against the snow. My stomach did a little flip when I realized that. I thought, okay, maybe it's a bush or a broken stone I've just never noticed. You start arguing with yourself. I told my daughter about it, and she said, "Mom, it's probably just a branch in front of a stone or something dumb." We laughed about me needing more sleep. That should have been the end of it. Except it wasn't. The third time I saw it, it wasn't crouching anymore. I was a few seconds earlier than usual, maybe 4:40 instead of 4:45. As I came around that bend, my headlights went across the front row of stones. The shape was there again, only this time it was standing. It was too tall. That's the part that instantly made my whole body go cold. It didn't look right with the rest of the cemetery. Everything out there is short and square or rounded stone. This thing broke the line. It was up above the stones by quite a few feet or more. The head was long. I don't know how to put it. Not like a normal head and shoulders. More like the neck went up too far, and the head was craning forward toward the road. I could feel it looking at my car. That sounds crazy even as I type it, but I swear on my grandkids that's how it felt. Like something that was used to the dark and didn't like my lights on it. I sped up. The whole day I couldn't get rid of that. Every time I walked past a window in the houses I was cleaning, I would check outside without even meaning to. My heart would jump if I saw a tall shadow or shape anywhere, even if it was just a tree. I kept saying over and over to myself, "Helen, you're too old to be spooking yourself over a shadow in a cemetery. Get a grip." I tried, trust me. A few nights later is when it followed me home, or at least that's the only way I know how to think about it. We had another light dusting of snow that night. Not much, just enough to cover what the plows had thrown around. I got home from my last job around 7:30. It was already dark. I live in a small single-story house with a finished attic where my grandson sleeps when he visits. Out back there's a line of old maple trees and then woods. It's not deep woods like out west, but enough trees to feel like a wall when it's dark out. I was in the kitchen doing dishes when I heard what I thought was someone walking in my yard. Out in the snow, it was that slow crunch sound. It wasn't moving fast, not like kids running, just a thing walking. I turned off the water and listened. My neighbor's dog started barking down the street. Then another dog further away. Mine died a few years ago, so my house was silent, except for my own breathing. I went to the back window over the sink and pulled the curtain back with 2 fingers. You do that thing where you don't want whoever's out there to see you looking. The light on my back porch is motion activated. It had came on. It lit up a good circle of my yard and sort of the tree line. I didn't see anything but the way the shadows were on the snow. They just didn't look right. They were stretched too far one way. I stood there about a minute, and that's when I saw it. Between two of the maple trees at the back, just outside the motion light's reach, there was a dark shape standing there. Same kind of tall, thin shape I'd seen at the graveyard. I couldn't make out arms or legs or anything clean. It just looked narrow at the bottom, and then wider up top, with the head turned toward my house. I dropped the curtain. My heart was going 100 miles an hour. I could hear it in my ears. I backed away from the window and grabbed the landline like I was going to call someone. Who? The police? Tell them there's something watching me from the trees? I put it back down. If you start talking like this, they'll lock you up, especially when you get older, around my age. The word senile will get thrown around. Anyways, after I dropped the curtain, the crunching in the snow started again. It sounded like it was getting closer to the house. I didn't look out again. I turned on every light in the back of the house and went into the living room and turned the TV up loud. I didn't sleep much that night, only a couple hours. The next morning when I stepped out, I checked the yard. Out by the edge of the motion light area, there were marks in the snow. It didn't appear to be footprints like you see on TV. Not neat boot prints either. More like places where something heavy had pressed down with not a clear shape. Just these big ovals, almost too far apart for my legs to match. That's all I know. From that night on, it was like it knew where I lived. I started seeing that same tall outline out in the corner of my eye more and more. Sometimes it would be standing by the telephone pole across the street after dark. Once it was beside my shed. It was never close enough for my porch light to show a lot of details. It was always just standing there, angled toward me. The worst part hasn't even happened yet. The worst part was my bedroom window. My bedroom window is on the first floor, but the back window sits higher off the ground because of how the land slopes down. There's a good 7 feet under it, outside. I've never had to worry about anyone looking in. One night I woke up because something tapped on the glass. 3 slow taps. Not like a branch smacking it in the wind, either. It was 2 regular, like knuckles. I laid there thinking I'd dreamed it. Then it did it again. 3 more. Same exact rhythm. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. I stared at the ceiling and prayed like I haven't prayed in 20 years. Whoever says they'd jump up and go look is lying. I couldn't make myself move. After what felt like forever, I forced myself to roll onto my side so I could see the window. The blind was down, but you can still see if someone is right up against it because it makes a dark shape. There was definitely something standing there. Very close. It almost looked like it was resting against the wall in the window. All I could see was that tall, dark mass filling the whole frame. This is when I caught a few of the features. I knew. The terrible part was that it was right on the other side of a thin pane of glass, looking directly inside. I saw a pure canine-shaped head. I saw the ears. I could see the snout. It was definitely a Dogman. I didn't sleep that night after that. I watched that window until the room got lighter. By morning, whatever it was gone. When I finally got brave enough to actually get up and check outside, the siding under that window had long streaks on it, like something had been scratching at it. I stopped driving past the cemetery after that. I take the longer route, even if it makes me late. I know that sounds backward, like avoiding it does nothing if it already found me, but I can't stand the thought of seeing it in both places. My daughter thinks I'm just finally freaking out from being alone too much, as she put it. My sister told me to get my eyes checked. None of that feels right. This doesn't feel like floaters in my vision or nerves. This feels like being watched by something evil that doesn't care if I understand it or not. I haven't had any other taps on the window in a month or so, but I also started sleeping in the small front room instead of my bedroom. I don't open the curtains in the back of the house after dark. I don't stand at the sink with the light behind me anymore. I don't know if this is what people call Dogman, but I think so. It could be something else, I suppose, or just my brain finally cracking. All I know is I saw that shape, that thing at the cemetery 3 times, and then I started seeing it near my yard, and then at my window. That's enough for me. If you read this on your show, or whatever you do with these, please just change my name and don't say the exact street. I still live here, and I don't want people driving by at night looking for it. I already feel like something is paying too much attention to this house. Thank you for letting me get this out. I feel a little stupid sending it, but I also feel like keeping it to myself is worse. Helen. The street name I used is not the real street name, and Helen is not her real name. I've also spoken with Helen a couple times here lately. Things seem to have died down, and she hasn't had any more encounters or sightings, whatever you want to call it. I told her if something else happens to be sure and let me know. I don't know how much help I can be, but I'll do what I can. Thanks, Helen. I hope things are going better for you. The subject of this email says, I don't know what happened out there, and I'm honestly scared. Hey man, I don't really know how long these emails are supposed to be, if there's a certain length or questions you want me to answer. But I'm kind of freaking out, and I figured if anyone might at least read this, you would. I'm not trying to get any attention or anything. I just don't know who else to even talk to. I've tried to reach out to others, but I seem to get no response or the runaround. You can just use the name Josh. I live up near Nederland, Colorado. I work at a ski resort doing maintenance, mostly the lifts and the rentals building. I'm 25. I'm not a kid. I'm not into ghost stuff or cryptid stuff. None of that. I'm the last person who would have believed this even 2 months ago. But something happened to me on my walk home from work, and something keeps happening after it, and I can't ignore it anymore. I've been looking online for days. That's how I found this channel. I guess I'll just start with the night that it happened. It was the end of January. Snow everywhere, but not a storm. I got off late because we had to fix one of the chairlift pulleys, and it took forever. I didn't have my car because my roommate borrowed it, so I walked home like I've done 1,000 times. It's only like a half a mile through the woods if you cut behind the cabins and through the maintenance trail. I've never been scared walking through there. I've seen elk, foxes, probably a mountain lion once, but I've never had any issues. I've never been afraid of the woods or the wildlife. This night it was extremely quiet. I mean, weirdly quiet, but I didn't think much of it. I had my earbuds in for the first part, but the battery died, so I just walked listening to the snow crunch under me. There was this weird, warm, cold, warm thing in the air, like pockets of warm air that didn't make sense. But whatever. I got about 200 yards from the road when I heard someone say my name. It was as clear as day. The voice sounded like my mom. My mom lives in Kansas City. It didn't echo right either. It sounded like it came from the trees, but also like it was right over my shoulder at the same time. I turned around. There was nothing. No one behind me. It was just the trees. I was alone. I said out loud, hello, 'cause I thought maybe someone from work followed me or was trying to mess with me. No answer. Then it said my name again. The same exact voice. Same tone. Same inflection. Like a recording of my mom when she used to wake me up for school. I swear to you, I'm not crazy. I felt this weird feeling like either I should run or I should walk toward where it came from. Like two thoughts trying to happen in my head at once. I don't know how to explain it. It was like being pulled both ways. Then I saw something move in the pines. It was taller than anyone I know, and it moved too smoothly, like it was gliding instead of stepping. I took one step back, and the next thing I remember is waking up on the gravel across the road near the resort. I was laying face down with snow stuck in my hair. My phone said it was 3:17 a.m. The time between hearing my name and waking up was only like 2 minutes in my head, maybe less. But in reality, it was almost 3 hours. I didn't have frostbite or anything, but I was freezing and very disoriented. I got home and my roommate asked why I was banging around at 3:30 in the morning. I told him I slipped on the trail. I didn't want to sound insane. I figured maybe I hit my head or something, concussion, except there wasn't a mark on me, no bruise, no lump. The nightmares started soon after that. When they first started, the dreams were I'd be standing in the woods calling for help and hearing my mom answer but never seeing her. It got worse over time. Now it's always the same dream. I'm in my bed, but it's like I'm awake inside the dream. I can't move, I can't talk. The room is dark except for light from the street lamp through the blinds. Something tall is crouched at the foot of my bed. It don't move, it just watches me. I can't see its face. It's like the shadows bend around its head. Every time I blink in the dream, it's closer. One blink, it's by the foot of the bed. The next blink, it's by my knees. The next blink, it's beside me, leaning its head down like it's trying to hear me breathe. I always wake up drenched in sweat right before it touches me. I haven't slept a full night for months. That's not even the scariest part. This is going to sound crazy, but I don't care anymore. Its voice followed me into real life. A week ago, I was in the rental building putting away snowboards when I heard my coworker, Mark, call my name from behind me. Not just my name, it was in his voice. I turned around expecting him to be there. The building was completely empty. I stepped outside and he was on the other side of the resort talking to customers. He was nowhere near me. I didn't even tell anyone about that. This is the first time I've mentioned it. Yesterday I woke up and my door was halfway open. I always close it. Always. I live with 2 people, and they swear they didn't come in. My roommate actually joked like, maybe you sleepwalk. Except here's the thing. My boots were wet, like I had been outside. There were little bits of pine needles on them too, like ones from the trail. I don't remember going anywhere. I don't sleepwalk. I never have. I didn't tell them about that either. I don't know if this is a Dogman or something else entirely. When it's in my room in those paralyzing nightmare moments, its face and head looks similar to what I've heard described. It either has pointed ears or some type of weird horns on its head, and it definitely has an elongated snout. I looked it up, and some people talk about mimicking voices or causing missing time. I don't care what name this has, I just want it to stop. Some online have suggested that it's some type of skinwalker. Last night I heard my mom's voice again, inside the apartment from the hallway. The exact same tone she uses when she's worried, except she isn't here. She hasn't been here in almost a year. I didn't open my bedroom door. I just sat there and waited for it to stop. It whispered my name 3 separate times like it was trying to get me to answer. Then it went quiet. I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know if this thing is still in the woods or if it followed me home or if I lost time and brought it with me somehow. I'm scared to sleep. I keep the bathroom light on because if the room is pitch black, my chest starts tightening like something's in there with me. I'm always feeling like I'm being watched. I keep thinking if I close my eyes for too long, I'll see that crouched shape again. I don't want to tell my family because they'll think I'm crazy, and maybe I am. Maybe this was just some weird neurological episode, but my boots were wet, and something called my name last night using my mother's voice. If you read this, just don't say the exact town. People around here talk too much, and I don't want anyone from work hearing about this. They'll think I'm on some type of drugs. I just want someone to know what happened in case this gets worse or I start losing more time. I don't know what else to do. Josh, Colorado. I don't even know what to say about this one, really. The events in the bedroom with the nightmares and the thing at the foot of the bed, that sounds more like sleep paralysis to me. I could be wrong, but I've had that happen to me several times in my life, and it sounds exactly like sleep paralysis. As far as the voices go, I can't really explain that one. I don't really know if that's related to Dogman, even though I've heard similar things in the past. It very well could be. I just don't have any answers for this one. I don't know if I should use my name, but it's Earl. Use it or don't, that's up to you. I don't care either way. I live out in the Bighorn Basin part of Wyoming. I have my whole life. I'm 58. I do fence work mostly, some ranch stuff. I keep to myself mostly, except for work and the store in town. I'm not good at writing. I failed English class, so this is going to sound or read rough. I don't want to spook anyone or anything or sound spooky. I don't got the education for fancy talk. I'm just telling it how it happened because it's been bothering me and it's hard for me to sleep. This was the middle of March. It was cold at night, but the days were starting to warm a bit. I had a job fixing about a quarter-mile of bad fence for a rancher out toward Manderson, place way out there. Long dirt road, nothing but willows and open ground for miles. I worked till dark because the wind had been kicking up earlier and I fell behind. By the time I packed my tools up and threw stuff in my truck, it was full dark. The stars were out bright. I don't like driving those back roads late. Not 'cause I'm scared of anything, just lots of deer and elk and sometimes idiot kids flying around corners. But that night just felt strange right off the bat. It's like the sky was too quiet. Maybe it sounds stupid, but that's how it felt. I got about a mile from the ranch gate, going maybe 45, when I heard a thump on the roof of my truck. Loud, like someone dropped a bowling ball on top. It scared the crap out of me. The truck even jerked sideways, and I almost went off the shoulder. The first thing I thought was a damn rock from an overpass, but there ain't no overpasses out there. Then I thought maybe something fell out of a tree, but there ain't no trees high enough, and sure as hell not over the road. Explain that one. If you can't, I'm about to explain it for you. Whatever it was started moving on the roof. I could feel it through the steering wheel. Whatever it was heavy. It was crawling front to back. The metal above my head dented down a little. I could see it in the rear view mirror, bouncing. I hit the brakes. Stupid idea, but I did. I tried to throw it off. I stopped in the middle of the road. The whole truck shook when it moved. Felt like it leaned forward, like it was climbing down the windshield. I didn't look up. I knew if I looked up and saw a face, or whatever the hell it had, I'd lose my mind right there on the spot. So I just hit the gas and took off. The tires were spinning on the gravel before catching and throwing dust around. I felt it hang on for a few seconds. Claws or hands were sliding on the metal. I could hear it. Then it finally let go. I kept the pedal mashed until I got to town. When I parked under the street light by my trailer, I got out and looked. The roof was dented in 4 spots. Deep ones, like something real heavy was posted up on there. There were long scratches down the side, too. Not from a branch. Branches don't go in straight lines and nearly to the metal. I told myself it was probably some damn poacher messing around in a ghillie suit or some drunk kid, but that's just insane. Your brain will go in all different directions trying to come up with nonsense. It sure didn't explain how quiet it moved once it was up there. The thing that big should have shook the whole truck. I tried to forget about it. I kept working. A couple days pass, and I start seeing something out by the edge of my field, behind the old windmill. The first time I was coming in from town with some groceries. The sun was going down, and I saw that shape standing by the windmill. This thing was way too tall to be somebody, and it stood wrong, stiff, like it didn't know how legs were supposed to bend. And speaking of that, its legs were bent the wrong direction. The knees were pointed backwards instead of frontwards. I watched it for a minute, thinking maybe my eyes were just seeing things. Then it stepped to the side and went behind the windmill tower. It didn't make a sound. I went out there with my flashlight and my rifle. I found nothing. It was gone. That same night I heard something walking around the trailer. It sounded like it circled a few times. I didn't go look, I'm not ashamed to say that. I stayed in my chair with the lamp on and waited it out. The next morning I did find some weird prints, and they were big ones. They were human-shaped, sorta, but a lot longer, like whatever it had for feet wasn't built like something you'd understand if you saw it. The toes looked long as well. The heel marks were deeper than my own. They went from the windmill straight to my yard and back again. After that, it kept showing up, always at a distance, always watching, staring at the house. Sometimes it would be standing in the field, sometimes by the shed. Once it was sitting, yes, sitting, like a man would with knees up, except its arms were too long for that to look natural. And the fact that its legs were bent the wrong way made it look even stranger. It just watched my place. One night I came home late again. I don't know why I didn't ask someone to come stay or something. Pride, maybe. Anyway, I pulled up, the porch light was on and it was flickering, like the bulb was about to blow. Something was standing behind my truck. It was way taller than the top of the cab. I only saw it in the mirror when I stopped. I saw a long snout, yellow eyes, and pointed ears on top of the head that were sort of laid back. As soon as I opened the door of the truck, I heard it take off and run into the dark. This thing was faster than a normal living being. There's nothing that could run away that fast. Nothing that I know of. The worst part, though, it was last week. I was lying in bed around 1 a.m. The wind was blowing something fierce. I heard a loud thump on the side of the trailer. Then another followed. It was like someone taking a few steps and ramming the wall with their shoulders. Whatever it was dragged what sounded like a palm or something sharp along the siding. Then it stopped right under my bedroom window. I don't want to talk about that part much. I heard something breathing, and it wasn't an animal. It wasn't a human either. This was too deep, and it sounded like it had a growl mixed in there somewhere. After a minute or two, it just walked away. That morning, I went out and looked under that window, and I found nothing. It hasn't come that close again, but it still stands out there by that windmill and sometimes in the field. Now I can make out the silhouette pretty well. It looks like what people describe on here, and I've asked a few people, and they say the same thing. Everyone's telling me this could be and most likely is a dogman, whatever that means. I don't know if this is the same thing or if there's more of them. I don't know if this is what climbed onto my truck, but I got a real bad feeling that it is. I've heard also these things will follow you home, but I didn't do anything to it. It chose to jump on my truck. I didn't hit it. I didn't even see it. I don't know how it got up there without me seeing it or hearing it come from the road. I don't know why it keeps coming back. I don't go outside when it's dark anymore. I don't walk out to fix anything after sunset. I keep all my curtains shut. I haven't told anyone around here or family because, well, for obvious reasons. We all know how that works out. Maybe I am messed up in the head. Maybe I imagine the whole damn thing. But the dents in my roof are still there. And the windmill it's always out there. It seems like it's almost every night now. I know what my eyes are seeing. I refuse to believe that I'm crazy or this is something that isn't there. I don't drink or do drugs, so hallucinations are out of the question. You can tell people this if you want, but keep exact locations and names out of it. Honestly, you can use my name. I think I told you in the beginning. It doesn't matter. Folks around here don't like attention. I just needed to talk to someone. I'm hoping I can get some sleep. And it stops messing with me for a day or two. I need a break. I need rid of this thing. Earl, out near the basin. This final email. This is a wild one. This one is intense. Hey man, I don't feel like my name should be part of this. I'm 46. I've been a diesel mechanic damn near 25 years. Mobile work, mostly. I go where the truck is, not the other way around. That means desert nights, busted rigs on the side of nowhere, ranch roads, all of that. I'm not scared of the dark, and I'm not scared of wildlife. I've slept in my truck more nights than in a real bed some years. I've seen some weird crap out in the desert, but nothing like this. This is something else. This has kept me up a many of a night for weeks straight. My hands shake when I try to drink coffee. That never used to happen to me. This was between Douglas, Arizona and El Paso, Texas. If you know that stretch, it's ugly, empty land. Dry washes. Old fence posts. Long stretches where your radio picks up nothing but static. Anyway, about 2 weeks ago, I got a call from a rancher out near Rodeo. His old Ford dually had died on him while he was hauling some fence wire. I drove out there around 6 in the afternoon. The sun was low. It took me forever because his directions were crap, like always. Got his truck running around 8. He took off fast because he didn't like the idea of being out there after dark. I found this strange. I stayed to clean up my tools. I got in my work truck and decided to sleep at one of those tiny rest pull-offs. The kind with a busted light like usual and a trash can full of beer cans. I've used it 100 times. By the time I got there, it was completely dark. It was cold, too. The desert cold is a different kind of cold. It'll get in your bones. The street light there flickers on and off. It throws this almost horror movie vibe across the pavement. I parked my rig under it, shut the truck off, and leaned back in the seat. I was just about to crash when I saw it. At the very edge of the light, right where the glow faded into dark, something was crouched under the busted light. It wasn't an animal that I'm familiar with. It wasn't shaped like something that I know. It was very tall, even while crouching. Its elbows were sticking out way too far. It had long, skinny arms, and its head was low, and it looked like it was sniffing the ground. This looked like the biggest dog I've ever seen in my life. I thought, if this is a stray, it's got to be one of the biggest dogs on record, or this is a person with some kind of weird suit on and they're tweaking out on some type of substance. He mentioned a specific one, but I'll keep that out. I set up slow. I didn't move too much because the cab light always kicks on if I lean forward. I didn't want whatever that was to see me. I kept watching it. The longer I looked, the less it made sense. The back was long and arched like a coyote, but the shoulders were very wide. Its shape kept shifting a little too, like it was breathing very slow. I couldn't see its face. Thank God for that. I told myself, just go to sleep. That's something that isn't there, or it's something you don't need to tangle yourself with. Ignore it. Go to sleep. I closed my eyes for maybe a total of 2 seconds and opened them again. This thing had stood up to the full height. It had to be at least 8 feet. It was tall enough that its head almost touched that broken light fixture. It was looking at my truck. I don't know if it could see me or if it just sensed me. My mouth went dry like I swallowed sand. I reached for my keys as slow as I could. Before I even turned the ignition, this thing did what I would call as a bluff charge. Or maybe it wasn't. As soon as it charged, my reaction was to hold down the horn. When I did that, it stopped and kind of flared its arms out and was flexing its fingers, opening and closing them. I didn't breathe for a good 30 seconds after I left there. The truck started and I peeled out, pedaled down, all the way to the floor. I don't know if it chased. I didn't look to see. I was too busy trying to keep it on the road. I thought I would never see this again. My first initial thought was I had seen some sort of demon. This was just the beginning, unfortunately. The next night I pulled into Lordsburg for fuel, a normal stop. I get out and see the dust on the side of my truck. It's fresh dust, like something had brushed up against it. I thought maybe a bush, then I saw some marks. They weren't scratches or handprints, not paw prints. They were little dents, shallow ones, in a pattern like fingertips had pressed into the metal. But the spacing was too big to be human, too wide. What could have the strength to just use its fingertips and dent metal? Again, I ignored it. 2 days later, I stopped outside El Paso, one of those dirt pullouts where truckers dump trash. I shut the truck off to check a coolant leak. I walked around the hood, found these 3 bones. They were bleached white, but fresh. They still had dried sinew on them. Big ones, too. Looked like maybe a deer leg bone. They were laid out in a line, like someone had placed them there right next to my tire. I kicked them away and left, but my gut was in knots the entire drive. That night I stayed at a cheap motel 'cause I couldn't shake the feeling someone was watching me. I pulled the truck up right in front of my room door so I could see it through the window. Around 3 in the morning I heard tapping. Not on the door, not on the side of my truck, but on the window of the room. The taps always came in 3. I heard it at least 3 or 4 times. It was in perfect sequence. As I started creeping toward the window, it stopped. I moved the curtain back quick. The parking lot was empty. I started to go back to bed when the tapping started again. This time it was knocking on the door, lightly. It sounded like something sharp, maybe plastic or metal, tapping on the door. I couldn't see anything. I didn't want to see anything. I sat on the edge of the bed with the lights on. Didn't even take my boots off. I was ready to run if I had to. My whole body stayed cold for hours. I just waited for morning and prayed. The only explanation that made sense was someone was messing with me. But who in their right mind follows a mechanic across state lines tapping on his truck every night? I don't want to admit it, but I knew deep down whatever was in that rest stop didn't stay there. Then, just a few days ago, I pulled into a Circle K outside of Clint, Texas. The sun had barely been up. I got some coffee and walked back out and almost dropped it. There were these marks behind my truck. Not footprints like a man. These were giant paw prints that looked like a dog. They were definitely something with weight to it because the pressure points near the front were deep, pressing down through long toes or something similar to toes. They were spaced far apart like something big was walking slow. The tracks circled the back of my truck once, then went off behind the dumpsters. There was no visible trail or drag marks or any sign of anything like that. Not in any direction. Like this thing just stepped into the air and flew away. I felt sick, like my stomach fell out. I cleaned the windshield, got in, and drove without stopping until I reached this motel I'm sitting in right now. I moved the dresser in front of the door, even though I know damn well it won't stop whatever this is. If it wants me, I'm done. I don't know if it's following me because I saw it, or because I stopped in its place, or because my truck picked up a scent. Or hell, maybe it picked me for some reason. Maybe when I blew the horn like that, it ticked it off. Who knows why these things do what they do. All I know is I'm not sleeping in that truck until I figure out what to do. I keep hearing little taps outside the motel wall. It could be nothing, but after the few weeks I've had, I don't trust anything anymore. I'm sending this in case something happens, 'cause nobody would believe this if I told them to their face. I fix engines. I don't hallucinate. I don't get spooked easily. But this has me spooked. If you read this, don't give too much information. People down here are nosy as hell, and I don't want to start rumors. I just want to get some sleep again. That's all I'm asking for. I want my life to go back to normal. But after what I've seen, that's probably not a possibility. Anonymous. I have also had a conversation with this fella. This email came in about probably a month or so ago. It's been a while. He seems to be all right. And as far as I know, I haven't heard from him in a week or so, but the last time I talked to him, things had died down. Nothing else had happened. I hope it stays that way. Thanks for reaching out. I hope this somehow helped you. You know how to reach me if you need to. Friends, legends, family. Some encounters end, but the fear, we all know, It doesn't. You heard it in every voice tonight. That quiet shake people get when they're talking about something they still don't understand. Something they didn't ask to see. Something that didn't stop just because they made it back inside their house. And here's the part most folks don't want to think about. If these things choose you once, they don't forget. Some people spend years pretending they've moved on. But all it takes is one creak in your hallway or tap on a window, one shadow in a place it shouldn't be, and everything will come rushing back like it never left. I wanted to put this upload together with emails that were of recent events. These are about as recent as you can get. A lot of you listeners has commented and said the same thing I'm thinking myself. Of all the emails I receive and read daily, the amount of encounters that people are coming forward with is becoming alarming, to say the least. I usually try to stay away from saying anything that would allude to people making up fake stories. But I'll be honest, this is one time that I hope most of them are. But I don't think so. Each one of these individuals sounded pretty legit to me, especially the ones that I spoke to on the phone. These people were scared. They were very concerned. That is something you can't fake. Again, if you've had your own encounter or you're struggling with something currently, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, well, you might want to keep your eyes open a little longer tonight. Just long enough to be sure nothing followed you home. These things can happen anywhere at any time. It's best to always be aware and check your surroundings. Thank you for listening. Thank you for everyone who trusted me with what they lived through. And thank you to all of you who continue to support this channel. I can't even express how important it is to keep this going. Everyone, please stay safe out there. I love each and every one of you. Until next time, my friends, watch over your loved ones, keep your head on a swivel, and as always, good night.